Good evening, and thank you for the invitation. I, I wanted to speak really about the lack of effective investigation as a way to generate more torture and more cases of torture, but also in combination with what my colleagues have been explaining before. And in the last available data in Spain is from 2017 about torture. And it's amazing because after nearly 3 years, we don't have available data, official available data of torture reported cases in Spain. Since that, in 2017, there was reported 1,014 cases of alleged torture committed in Spain by police officers, and no conviction has been achieved since then. As a matter of fact, the last proper conviction in Spain for torture was in year 2005, which shows a total lack of effective investigation, and which is not generating a deterrence for these cases to continue to happen. One of the cases that is interesting to show the situation in Spain is that only one judge in Spain has been accused, or the European Court of Human Rights has resolved in different cases that judge didn't do a proper and an effective investigation on cases of torture for people that were presented in front of him. This is Judge Grande Marlaska, who the European Court of Human Rights make its statement in 2014 for one case, in 2014 for another case, in 2015 for another case, in 2016 for another case, and in 2018 for 2 other cases. All these people that were tortured, and it's proven that they were tortured, were presented to this judge, and he refused to investigate that. Well, that judge is today the Home Secretary of the Spanish government. So the expectation that we may have on effective investigation from the Spanish authorities is very poor or very small. But on top of that, I'm much more concerned about something different, which is that evidences obtained in Turkey with no guarantees and most probably under torture has been used in the Spanish courts as proper evidence and has been accepted as proper evidence by the Spanish judges. Well, this is the other way of the other side of the coin of universal jurisdiction, which is the universal use of evidence obtained under torture. We have tried in those trials to challenge those evidence, and the answer from the court was astonished. They said that we cannot challenge those evidence in Spain because those evidence were introduced in the process through legal means of international cooperation among countries and countries that keep diplomatic relations. So the only control that these judges were expecting to do to evidence obtained in Turkey, most probably under torture, is that they came through a diplomatic channel. Well, this is a real risk of spreading the effects of torture, not only to the people who suffered that, but to those people that are convicted at a later stage, even in other countries, based on evidence obtained through torture. And in this sense, the cooperation between the different security forces within Europe, and especially in the European countries with the Turkish police, is something that we really have to look into that, because they are taking evidence in Turkey, most probably under torture. They are converting that evidence into intelligence report, and those intelligence report has been used in different places such as Germany, Holland, France, and Spain as proper evidence. Well, it is very difficult to combat those evidence when they are introduced in this way, And I think we should, if we really want to, to generate a space of deterrence against torture, we really need to focus on what is the use that they made of those evidence that are obtained with torture, and how the European countries are collaborating in a misuse of that evidence, which is another form of participation in the torture process, because the torture is not committed just to generate suffering in the person, but to obtain something, and that the result that they obtain is being internationalized through cooperations among the security forces, and that's something very, very, very dangerous. And as a matter of fact, we have now different convictions here in Spain, and we have challenged that at the level of the Spanish Supreme Court, and our expectations are really low in terms of the resolution that the Spanish Supreme Court will issue in this at least 3 cases that we have been involved directly as lawyers. And this is really something that we may take as a priority, because you know that a lot of people from Turkey has emigrated abroad or run into exile through the situation in Turkey. But what is the problem is at the end, they are not catched by the Turkish police, but they are catched by the Spanish police or the German police or the French police, and they use the evidence obtained in Turkey. Natasha was talking before about universal jurisdiction, and I think we should all focus and look the case that is ongoing nowadays in Germany against Syria for torturing people. This is an excellent example of the use of universal jurisdiction as a way to obtain justice, reparation, and also in a way to create a certain leverage of deterrence against torture. The European Center of Human and Constitutional Rights from Berlin is leading the legal team that is handling that case. And for the first time in many, many years, the German prosecutor office has agreed to present charges to a foreign officer for tortures committed in a foreign country against a foreigner. This is the full principle of universal jurisdiction, put it all together in one courtroom. And I think we all should learn about that process. In the web of the European Center for Human and Constitutional Rights, there is a lot of details in different language about that case. And I think we should really, I invite everybody to look the tremendous work that has been done by our colleagues from Berlin, because that's maybe one of the way to do it. And of course, Syria got not the same diplomatic and political relations with the European countries as Turkey, but at the end of the day, if we work in a proper way, and if we follow certain patterns that the European Center from Berlin has presented to the public, we may succeed in different countries to use that tool of universal jurisdiction. As a matter of fact, we have done it in Spain on several occasions, and in 2009, the Spanish Parliament decided to restrict the extension of the Spanish universal jurisdiction, which was very open and very suitable for this sort of cases. When we found out the way on this side to that restriction of the universal jurisdiction, they changed the law again to make it more restrictive. Finally, in 2014, we found another way to go into such process. And at the end, they were so angry that instead of changing for the 4th time the law, they decided to change the jurisprudence, which make it even more difficult or nearly impossible to use universal jurisdiction for these cases, because the requirements are too big. So Spain moved from the Pinochet case, a very open way to exercise universal jurisdiction in cases of torture, to a very restrictive way, which also is a representation of what's the Spanish reality. And in the Spanish reality is that it is extremely difficult to present a case and to obtain a court resolution to open a proper investigation in cases of torture. The last case that I would like to mention, just to finish, in order to demonstrate how there is a total lack of proper investigation in Spain, is a case of a young man that was arrested last year in Almeria. And in the same way that it happened in the US, he was suffocated and he died inside a police station. The police said that he was that was an accident, that nothing wrong was done. No court wanted to investigate it. And on top of that, most medias were spreading the version from the police in order to create the image that this young man died as a matter of an accident, and also because he got a previous illness. Well, 2 weeks ago, finally appears a video of what had happened at that police station, and it was clearly a blood-cold murder in a police station with interrogation methods that are not allowed. In these 2 weeks, no judge has opened a proper investigation of something that we have all seen in a video. It is all over, and even the medias that were denying that this has happened, at the end they are accepting that this happened, but the major problem is that the judges are not accepting that. So if, as a friend of mine used to say to me, it's not enough to be right, it is not enough to be able to express it in a proper way. What we at the end need is somebody to accept that this is torture, this is a criminal offense, and this needs a proper investigation. The problems that are at the present time in Turkey and that we have all been reading are more common in other countries than what we want to accept. But I propose that we not only concentrate in the ways to exercise responsibility towards the people who direct practice torture, but also the people who make a profit out of tortures that are not even committed in their country. It is unacceptable to use evidence obtained under torture in Turkey in any other jurisdiction. And the Spanish police, the French police, the German police, or whoever cannot use that evidence. Prosecutors should not use that evidence, and above all, courts should not accept and validate those evidence, because those evidence are illegally obtained. And I think we should coordinate more in these efforts and try to interchange and communicate more the cases everywhere to have a more general view so we can all share experience. Thank you very much.